Good afternoon, and welcome to Brunch and Budget on Bonfire Radio with your host, Pamela Capallet, a certified financial planner here to help take the bite out of your budget, brunchandbudget.com. I'm your sound provider, Dialect, and here's your host, Pamela Capallet.
Thank you, Dialect, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. So we are going to be talking about something that has been bubbling up in the corporate world for a while now. It is gaining a lot of momentum, especially in recent years. It is the B-corp.
The B-corp, huh?
The B-corp, yes. The B-corp, the benefit corporation, they are not the same thing. Note, I just learned this myself. A B-corp and a benefit corporation. And we talked about it before in an investment appetizer, but I wanted to do a whole show about it because it is becoming more and more prevalent. A B-corp or a benefit corporation are basically companies that at the same time that they are for-profit companies, so they are not a non-profit, they are a for-profit company, but they also have an added mission of dedicating themselves to having a sustainable work environment, a good work environment for their employees, the ability to be sustainable within the environment. There are all these rules and all these checklists that go through to become a B Corp or a benefit corporation. And right now it's 1,800 businesses and counting that are certified as B Corps.
Yay!
Yay! So let's talk about our investment appetizer first.
Yeah, what's the appetizer? What are we talking about?
The appetizer is, what is a corporation?
Ah.
Yeah, let's dig down to the basics.
I know.
Tell us what a corporation is.
Legally, it's a person.
It's true.
They have rights and stuff.
They have rights.
But you can't arrest them for some reason.
Yeah, because who are you going to arrest?
Everyone?
Everyone in the corporation?
I don't know. In my head, like, there's a lot of those corporate bad guy movies in the 80s when I was growing up. And usually they arrest the CEO, right?
Yeah, they arrest the owners of the corporation because the corporation can be treated as a person legally.
But what if it's public, though? Then who do you arrest? Like all the shareholders? Take them all. I say take them all.
Well, it's the perpetrators who did wrong through the corporation, really. Not all the shareholders necessarily.
Yeah, but if you didn't vote against it, shareholder.
But sometimes you don't necessarily have the right to vote.
Oh, right.
Shareholders. So a corporation is a business entity that is separate from its owners. So just to give you a comparison, a sole proprietorship is you own a business and you are the business. So if someone were to come after you, they could come after your business assets and your personal assets. A corporation gives you a separate layer of protection between your business and your personal assets.
I mean, yeah, well, that's why I was bringing this up, because the whole point of a corporation is legal liability.
Yes, absolutely. And it also gives the ability for there to be multiple owners in a business in a very straightforward way. So there are partnerships as well, but they also don't have the protections of a corporation.
Well, I mean, there are ways to do partnerships, but again, this is one that evenly distributes the liability.
Yes, absolutely. So there are three kinds of corporations. There is the C corporation, the S corporation, and the limited liability corporation.
It would be so much awesomer if they just called it the Scorporation.
The Scorporation. I'm going to call it that from now on.
Wouldn't you start one?
I would start a Scorporation. And then there is the benefit corporation is the one that we're going to talk about today. But the C corporation is the one you have to be a C corp if you want to ever take your company public. So if you want to sell shares, if you want to have multiple shareholders, if you want to have shareholders in other countries, and you want to have more than 100 shareholders, you need to be a C corporation. And so the C corporation basically means a C corporation is probably the biggest line in the sand that you can draw between you and your business, because a C corporation operates completely as a separate entity. It pays its own taxes. It has its own, board of directors, its own CEO, all of that kind of stuff. And then you have the S corporation, which is there's a little bit less wiggle room in terms of who can be a shareholder. Like you have to be a U.S. citizen. There can only be 100 shareholders. But you also don't have the administrative headaches necessarily the C corporation has, where basically in an S corporation, with a C corporation, they like to say that you're double taxed. You're taxed as the corporation, and then any profits from the corporation, you're taxed as an individual.
Yeah, also.
Yes, and with an S corporation, all of the profits flow through out of the S corp into your personal tax return, and that's where you pay taxes on the personal level.
I forget. Corporations in general aren't just for legal liability. It's also for tax purposes.
Yes, also for tax purposes. Yes, absolutely. And then we have the limited liability corporation, which is probably the one that you'll see most often. It is the least administrative hassle of all of the other corporations. If you own real estate where you're renting it out as an investment property, it probably makes sense to have an LLC. If you are a small business, Brunch and Budget is an LLC as of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are basically generating enough income to have business income that is more than your personal expenses than you're spending, then it might make sense to actually form a corporation and form a separate legal entity. And also if you're in an industry where you need that legal protection. So that's another reason to have even an LLC. And an LLC is, again, like the least hassle to administer.
Right.
And in some states it's more expensive to start one, but you don't have to file separate corporate tax returns. Everything happens on your personal tax return. It's way easier tax-wise. It's way easier to handle legal-wise. Like, you don't have to keep minutes. You don't have to do bookkeeping like you would in an S-corp.
Word.
Yeah, so an LLC tends to make sense for the small business owner who just wants that separate extra layer of protection legally between them and the people who they serve.
Oh, people love LLCs.
People love LLCs. It's true.
LLCs get routinely abused and reused in all sorts of fun ways. LLCs are really malleable.
Mm-hmm.
I've found. I mean, all of these corporate structures are actually very malleable,
right, 'cause
and
they're people, but not people.
Well, I mean, not just that. I mean, in terms of the protections and things you are able to do, especially if you have enough money behind it, you can do a lot of shelling and moving around and make it really difficult. Corporations can also make it difficult for people to find you.
Yes, absolutely. You can hide behind an LLC of an LLC of an LLC.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So
Well, and all that.
And so that is what a corporation is. And there is a new corporation called a benefit corporation that is really...
I'm so mad that that's a new... I have a business, and our business actually benefits people. Isn't this a novel idea?
You know. Well, and it benefits the greater good. Not just like the direct customer, but all their practices are sustainable. They take care of their workers, all of that kind of stuff.
In other words, so I have a business, and instead of doing it like how other people, I've decided to make it a business. I was just talking to you about this, maybe doing an entire show where we talk about like things businesses are actually designed to do.
Right.
It's just so ridiculous that the default setting, and even when you talk to most people, you talk about corruption to most folks in businesses, and they'll go, "What are you, stupid? Businesses are designed to make the most money possible in any way they can. Why would you stupid person, ever think that they were designed to do the thing that they said to do? They're only going to do whatever they can to make money, and if that means gouging your eyes out with a spoon, even though you went in there to buy some Jell-O, well, you shouldn't have bought Jell-O." But you know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
People are really intensely will defend the right of businesses to just make money when not being sustainable. Yeah. We talked about this before with the Olympics. If you're not a sustainable thing, then you're not good for the public.
Right, you're not going to last.
Well, yeah, and you're not going to last, and you're not good for anybody.
Yeah.
So then why are you even here?
Right. And even people who aren't as intense as eye gouging, there's a lot of people who just say, well, that's business. That's the nature of business. It's like boys will be boys. Businesses will be businesses, you know?
Wow. That's ill. Businesses will be businesses.
Yep. There's just that expectation, and people get away with a lot of stuff.
Economic depression.
Yeah. But what's interesting is there has been this movement where people want to know where their stuff is coming from. People want to know that the businesses that they are doing business with are practicing sustainable work environments and taking care of the environment itself and, making sure that they're socially doing good as well, which is why you saw the success of something like Tom's Shoes, for instance, or Warby Parker. And we'll talk about Tom's Shoes in a second, believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm saying the reason why Tom's Shoes worked great as a marketing thing was you were buying a pair of shoes, but you were also helping someone else have a pair of shoes.
Right.
So you felt good about it. And so in terms of the B-corp and the benefit corporation, basically, they are legally obligated. This is the main difference between a B-corp benefit benefit corporation. I'm using them interchangeably, but I'm going to talk about the difference between them in a second. It's not a huge difference, but there is a difference. But between a B Corp benefit corporation versus a corporation, the B Corp and the benefit corporation are actually legally obligated to use business as a force for good. So it's in their bylaws. It's in it's in how they run their business. It's in their day-to-day operations.
By
it's
the
in
way,
their employer practices.
That means that on the other end, non-benefit corp businesses, non-B Corps, are not legally obligated to not suck.
Yep. Tom Shoes is not a B Corp, for instance. I'm saying we'll talk about them in a minute. So there's some famous B Corps right now. There's some big ones. I'm sure you've probably heard of them. Ben & Jerry's is probably the most famous one. Ben & Jerry's is a B Corp. Etsy, one of the biggest B Corps to be publicly traded. They had their IPO last year. It's doing well. Hootsuite, if you don't know Hootsuite, they are the ones who will let you schedule your social media. Patagonia, the outdoor store. Cabot Cheese. Did you know Cabot Cheese was a B Corp?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You gotta buy their cheese. And they're lactose tolerant.
Wait, they're cheese, so they have to tolerate lactose.
Yes, you're right. No, though you can eat their cheese if you're lactose intolerant. Shout out to Joylene if she listens. She taught me that.
Okay.
Yeah, Cabot cheese doesn't have lactose in it.
Wow, Cabot cheese is so tolerant that they tolerate your intolerance.
There you go. I love it.
Can that be our slogan? Free
that was good. I hope
here.
you're listening. Free slogans
Hope
here.
you're listening, Cabot.
Yep. Method and Seventh Generation. They're two different companies, but they both do cleaning supplies, and they're B Corps, which you hope they would be because their whole mission is to
Seventh
provide.
Generation, yeah, you'd hope so.
Yeah, and Method, too, with their, sustainable hand soaps and stuff. Warby Parker is also a B Corp.
Shout out to Seventh Generation, because I really appreciated how they were like, how do we explain what we're doing with our thing? I don't know, let's just put it in the name. Just put in the name. They're not going to get what that means. I know, but that's going to be why they read more. Okay. That's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
Man, they really trusted in folks, and it worked out well.
It worked out.
I like Seventh Generation.
Me too. I'm a big fan. So in the last year and a half, in the last 18 months, the number of certified B Corps has gone from 1,000 to the count as 1,800 as of today.
Right.
And it's in the U.S. and abroad. So it's global. It's an international movement. It's a really big thing. And the fact that we're seeing it grow so much, I think, is a sign of the times. I think that people are really looking to find to work with businesses that are socially responsible. There's so much crap going on right now. There's so many people who are still, supporting Walmart and going to McDonald's and supporting businesses that negatively affect the economy. And I think it's hard for people to feel like that they have any control over that on some level. And so to know that corporations are committing themselves legally, to that point, to be doing good, it's become a popular marketing tactic in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, it's really the natural reaction.
Yes.
We went through the period where we understood our place in capitalism, and we felt like we were a part of it, and we, quote unquote, voted with our money and things like that. We felt like we were there.
Yeah.
And then there came a period, and I feel like it was in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
And, started before our lifetimes, but really became apparent that we didn't have control.
Right.
And we had these semi-monopolies, and if not semi-monopolies, the companies all working in concert, or if just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because they can.
Yeah, because they were all doing it, and they were getting away with it.
You couldn't vote with your dollar. And you felt
you
like
had no options.
You had no options. You either had to do the thing because there was no one else, or the competitor was doing the same thing, so there was no point.
Still no one else.
And we got to, that's just, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, exactly.
In any meaning of the word.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're seeing it with the stats right now. There's studies that are saying 8 in 10 global citizens actually consider corporate social responsibility when they decide where to shop, when they decide what to buy. Business leaders are also seeing, especially in the millennial generation, that people want to work at jobs where it feels like the company has a purpose for the greater good. We're seeing that more.
And we're such mess ups as humans, but I appreciate how we correct. This is like, because this is like when we got the EPA and the FDA.
Yeah.
I shouldn't expect, if I buy a hamburger, for you to leave a screw and shards of glass.
And have that be okay.
I shouldn't expect that, right?
No,
Just
no.
as a person, even if no one had ever told me what a restaurant was, if they were like,
Right.
there's going to be a place where they give you food and you give them money, I wouldn't expect shards of glass. But guess what? Cats put shards of glass in stuff because
Yeah.
it's fun or whatever.
Yeah.
Shard. You know what they say? Shards make dollars.
Shards make that doesn't rhyme. No one says that.
So that's what they say. It's a business. It's on the low. They don't be telling it to everybody.
It's in the fine print.
But you know what I'm saying. And while we didn't think we needed the FDA and all these types of things.
Yeah.
And then we were finally able to do businesses like businesses once we put that in.
Right, exactly.
It was a nice little correction, and I feel like that's what's happening now. It's very natural.
And it's happening in the finance industry. We saw it when they deregulated it. We saw what happened when they did, and now there's regulation being put in place, So
Because y'all couldn't do it without the rules, so now we're going to have everybody sit at the desk with their hands on their laps.
Exactly. So we're going to roll to a song, and then we will talk more about, first, the difference between a B Corp and a benefit corporation. It's not a big deal, but it's there. And also what the requirements are for calling yourselves a B Corp or a benefit corporation, why companies are choosing to do it, and the true move towards sustainability for companies, why it's making business sense for companies to do it.
All right, I hadn't made a decision about this, so I'm going to allow you to do it for me. Pam's going to be doing a little sound
DJing,
providing.
Sound providing.
So which would you prefer? Because I've got something representing the B Corp and something representing the benefit corp. So which one should we start with?
Let's start with the B Corp.
Okay, starting with the B Corp. So we're starting in Toulouse, France, with the RBB Corp
Hey, yo.
with their song 100 Sentiments. And we'll be back in a minute. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio.
Ok. TOS, Keyaman. Aïe. Des fois quand je me prends pas la tête, j'écris des textes là vite fait. OP musicalement pour que tu sois vite satisfait. Je le fais machinalement quand on a déjà bien spliffé. Des casse-truffes fait kiffer direct, je me mets à kicker. Tout ça je peux plus m'acquitter, je le fais correctement. Tant que je pourrais me la picherer, je le ferai ouvertement. J'aimerais bien gagner du blé, je peux pas faire autrement. De nos jours pour te faire un buzz, il te faut un drôle d'accoutrement. J'ai ce rap dans les veines, je suis sous 4 terre. J'arrive au mic et je te fous droit plus que 4 très clair. Pour toi c'est clair, net et précis. Trop d'MC me font marrer à m'en vider la vessie. Dans mes récits, y'a que des vérités, ouais. Tu peux les brûler, cours vite pour t'abriter. On est là sans ambiguïté, enchaîne les combinaisons. Combattu comme une maison, mort et l'horizon. Et ce son reste ma seule raison. Posé sur la prod, mec je peux pas faire autrement. J'avais prévenu que sur le mic je ferais pas de sentiments. Subis le châtiment, bousille à chaque dimanche. Posé dans le bâtiment, nous on travaille activement. Posé sur la prod, mec je peux pas faire autrement. J'avais prévenu que sur le mic je ferais pas de sentiments. Subis le châtiment, bousille à chaque dimanche. Posé dans le bâtiment, nous on travaille activement. Je suis qu'un artiste, laisse-moi poser mon art triste avant l'arthrite. Je gravite, je pose ma voix sur la batterie. Pas de backtrip, pas d'MC élevé en batterie. Écoute mes parties, RBB corps ma batterie. Roule un petit, il faut que j'accélère. Branche le jack, c'est l'heure. S'ils veulent rien entendre, rien à foutre, c'est l'heure. Problème dealer, au mic tueur, des coups de sueur. On vient pour kicker la prod et sans trop de pudeur. Je reviens lâcher une comète, honnête, largement accessible. Les bouffons gobent la pilule, elle est logiquement comestible. Ok, je rêve qu'on m'estime pour ce que j'ai sur le papier. Si jamais je rate le wagon, t'inquiète, je repartirai à pied. J'ai du bled mental d'acier, instinct carnassier, parti pour rien lâcher, espoir d'amasser. Se fracasser, jacasser, sortir de la merde, c'est le but. Amasser, s'effacer, éviter tout ce qui me rebute. Posé sur la prod, mec, je peux pas faire autrement. J'avais prévenu que sur le mic, je ferais pas de sentiments. Subis le châtiment, bousille ça chaque dimanche. Posé dans le bâtiment, nous on travaille activement. Posé sur la prod, mec, je peux pas faire autrement. J'avais prévenu que sur le mic, je ferais pas de sentiments. Subis le châtiment, bousille ça chaque dimanche. Posé dans le bâtiment, nous on travaille activement.
And we're back. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. That was the RBB Corporation with 100 Sentiments. Here we're talking about B Corps.
B Corp.
Benefit Corps.
Benefit
Corps in general.
B Corps.
Hard Corps.
Hard Corps. B Corps are hard corp.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the larger idea of how to create a business that's sustainable in general, how it's become more important for consumers. You are probably thinking about it yourself, especially with all of the crap that we have put up with from businesses in the past, first I want to kind of delineate the difference between a B Corp and a benefit corporation. Even though they sound very similar and a lot of people use them interchangeably, there is a
I know it's confusing. Can we break it? Let's break it on down.
Yeah, absolutely. So the B Corp actually is a certification, and the benefit corporation is actually you can create a legal entity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
can you be both?
You can be both. Yes, you can be a benefit corporation and a B Corp certified.
Right.
Let's
That
call
sounds
it
like
that.
yeah.
B Corp certified. The thing with a benefit corporation is it really only exists in 6 states right now. That it's actually the benefit corporation came out of the B Corp certification.
Well, that's what it sounds like, because it sounds like businesses are like, well, I'm whatever business I am.
Yeah.
I'll get the B Corp certification added on to my business.
Yes.
And then someone was like, well, why don't you just make your whole business like that?
Right, and make it really legal and all of that kind of stuff. So that's where the benefit corporation was born out of, which is probably why people still use them interchangeably. But the B Corp is a certification similar to, I hate to compare to this, but like Fair Trade or LEED or USDA Organic.
Everybody compares it to fair trade.
Yeah.
That's the explanation. I think it's a little bit more, at least right now, it's a little bit more stringent.
It is. Well, and that's just what I was going to say.
I'm afraid to say that because I'm not 100% up on my fair trade stuff, but my understanding of fair trade is it can be pretty lax.
Yeah, well, and the thing with a B Corp certification is it's not just certifying one product or one aspect of the company. Like with a LEED certification, you're saying that, the materials to build this are environmentally sustainable. But that doesn't mean that you treat your workers well. And if you're fair trade, that means that the place where you get your product is sustainable, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your actual business practices are sustainable as a whole.
Right.
So,
well, there's not a regulating body for that. I was
Yeah.
talking about the FDA and all that type of thing, but the FDA doesn't care if your food service place is treating the workers poorly.
Right, exactly. So a B Corp certification is comprehensive across all aspects of your business. And I think that's the main difference. It goes into worker engagement, community involvement, the environmental footprint, the way that they're structured, the way that the actual organization is governed. And so the other thing about a B Corp is you also have to be recertified every 2 years.
Heck yeah.
So you have to keep proving that you're doing it. And I just, with a benefit corporation, you basically are saying that in your bylaws, and it's such a thin line, the difference between the two, because in a B Corp certification, you're also required to change your bylaws.
Right.
To specify how you're going to create these sustainable practices. In a benefit corporation, when you create the corporation itself, your bylaws are required to state that. And you're also holding yourself legally with a benefit corporation to saying, yes, we are doing these things.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the main difference. And yeah, the 5 states actually, there's 5 states that have it and 6 states that are in the process of doing it. So far we have Hawaii, Virginia, Maryland, Vermont, and New Jersey. That's Ben and Jerry's is Vermont. There you go. And then the 6
Well,
states...
and Vermont is, they about that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's where Cabot cheese is from, too. And then the other 6 states that are working on it are Colorado, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, California, and Michigan.
Pennsylvania. I'm very surprised. Go ahead, PA.
Working on it. Working on the benefit corporation. And so because a benefit corporation is a legal corporate structure, then it basically puts the sustainability practice into their whole business DNA, as they're calling it.
Right.
So with a B Corp, if you don't recertify in 2 years, that whatever, right? You're
you're no longer B Corp certified. It's just what it is.
Yeah, exactly. But with a benefit corporation, you're saying the existence of this business hinges on us practicing these sustainable things.
That sounds like businesses of the future.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because it feels like it's moving so fast. The fact that it went from 1,000 to 1,800 companies that are B Corp certified, and now there's this movement for this new benefit corporation structure. Even though it's happening in only a few states now, I feel like when you get California and New York in the mix, I mean, that's a big deal.
Well, it's so funny. it's really just it's such an evolution thing.
Yeah.
I like to make fun of big businesses and how small, short-sighted big businesses are, but it's really small-time thinking. Anytime, think about this in your own life and in workings you've done with folks. Anytime someone does something primarily for their own benefit without regard to their immediate environment, it doesn't last.
It doesn't.
It fades and fails.
Yeah.
And every layer and level of professionality involves acknowledging larger groups of people. So if you're a big old multinational corporation, the idea that you would have run your business without regarding all these folks is asinine.
Yeah.
You was always going to fall.
Yeah, I mean, look at what's happening to McDonald's right now. We did a show on Chipotle and McDonald's a while back. I think it was like last summer or something.
Yo, I don't even say bad stuff about McDonald's no more. It's just like I feel kind of bad. It's like you ever date somebody? You've dated somebody. You dated. Remember you dated that person and then y'all broke up? And, you know, you don't want your date to be doing badly or, like, much better than you. But every time you see them, they doing worse and worse and worse. And at some point, you don't even remember what you was mad at them when you was dating them for. You're just like, oh, man.
Like,
I hope you get your thing together.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it is.
That's what it is. It's like, McDonald's, I hope you just figure it out. Because what you've been doing is not the direction that the rest of the world is going.
I don't think they can, man. And this is what we're saying about the long-term thing. I've mentioned this before. McDonald's could be the perfect B-corp from now on, and who's going to trust them?
Yeah, because they're basically just jumping on a bandwagon.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, you guys had my whole life to do this, and instead you showed me what you're going to do. So anytime I turn my back, you might try to stuff a McRib in my whatever. You know, come on.
No, it's true. It's true. It's one of those things where I'm seeing more and more businesses, especially new ones, start off on this foot because it's so much easier to gain trust and momentum at the beginning than to try and win it back.
Well, if corporations are going to be people, one thing for them to understand is that they're not just people, they're celebrities.
Yes.
And now they're starting to operate by celebrity rules.
Absolutely. And with, you know, the Twitters and the Facebooks of the world where it's easy to spread this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. My favorite way of complaining about things nowadays. Forget a letter writing campaign.
You just tweet at
just
somebody.
Harass some poor intern.
Yeah, I know. So true. Sorry, interns, but you work for them.
No, sorry. If you work a corporate Twitter, you know what you're going to get.
You know what you're going to get. It's true.
Especially if you know your corporation. If you don't, well, that's your behind.
Yeah, then you will learn quickly.
That's what the B in B Corp stands for. It's your behind.
You're behind corporation. The thing that I really love about this B Corp movement is that corporations are opting into it. It's not a requirement. It's something where corporations are saying, yes, we are going to take the time and take the resources and regulate ourselves.
Well, I mean, people hate quote-unquote big business, and the last few times that big business or that the government stepped in and put regulations on folks, there was a lot of complaining. It's really only going to work if the companies say they want to do it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to go through some businesses that are B Corps and the types of ways that they are meeting the requirements to become a B Corp. I feel like that's the best way to talk through what it takes to be B Corp certified and how it is all encompassing. We talked about needing to engage your workforce, needing to be involved in the community, leaving a small environmental footprint, and how you actually run your business. And let's start with Etsy because we know them and they are huge and we talk about them a lot on the show. So some of the things that they do on the consumer side, they support micro businesses. The actual essence of Etsy as a company, regardless of whether they're a B Corp, is we have created a marketplace for people who can run micro businesses and who can run side hustles. And what they found is in 2014, 31% of Etsy sellers are actually coming from low-income populations.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, they're steeped in sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's one of the reasons why tons of people love them from jump.
Yeah, they just created a platform for all of this. The other thing they do in the community is they actually provide their employees 20 hours of paid time off to volunteer.
That's what's up. I remember Starbucks used to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do, but they used to pay, I think, double time for volunteering.
For volunteering. I love it.
That's
I love it.
Man, companies, it does not cost you that much to offer that. Limited if you're actually concerned about your bottom line. Limit like the amount your total, but just offering that, everybody, whenever someone hears that about a company, they're like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. They actually also run their own corporate citizenship program that includes social impact programs, which serves kids from diverse backgrounds and adults in disenfranchised communities. On the employee side, their healthcare plan covers more than 80% of health insurance premiums, 26 weeks of paid parental leave for both gendered parents, regardless of family circumstance, and 85% of Etsy employees said they were very happy.
Hey,
That's pretty good, right? I wonder what the other 15% is.
That's a good verse right there.
Yeah. Hey, yo.
Shoot.
Hey, yo. You know. And then on the environment side, they actually track and publicly report their reduction goals for carbon emissions. They implement waste reduction programs in all their offices. So they diverted more than 34,000 pounds of waste from landfills in 2014.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Also, man, that is a lot going on there.
Mm-hmm.
That regulation, wow, that doesn't just pertain to the important parts of your business. I say important part, but the ones that you think of as why your business runs. These are all the little things, and
all the little things down to they provide maintenance support for your bicycles for employees who bike to work. They're like, oh, your bike's gonna break down. Here you go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they've thought of everything, and I wanted to start with them just because they've really embraced the idea of being a B Corp, and they're publicly traded.
Well, and what they do works.
Yeah, what they do works. It's true.
It's like when people instituted casual Fridays, and then everybody wanted to jump on that bandwagon, and now dress code is so much more lax.
Yeah.
Because it works.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a great thing I do feel about business, and it's one of the things that has me the most hopeful about capitalism. I've said before on the show,
Yeah.
I like capitalism, and I think the thing about capitalism that's dope is that it's adaptable.
Yeah.
And it will always adapt.
Yeah.
Even if the biggest money people try to keep it one way, it's not. It's capitalism is inherently. This is going to be a funny thing to say for political minded folks, but is inherently non-conservative thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold on to anything.
Right. It's made for progress.
Yeah, it's all about, new thing that works. I want that. I want
Yeah.
that. And it pushes the other old stuff behind. So whenever you're looking at business and thinking, you terrible stuff, if it's actually terrible stuff, it will eventually be weeded out. It will take a lot of Sturm und Drang to do it.
Yes, money is a very, secure placeholder for a lot of things. But
they will get that glass.
they will get that glass.
The shards will come out of your burger.
It's true. And I'm going over these companies because, one, I want you to get an idea of how different companies meet these standards. And also for you personally, in terms of choosing where you work, in terms of choosing where you buy things, now you have an idea of the options that are out there as a worker and as a consumer. And so I want to talk about Method, which actually covers a little bit less than Etsy. The main company highlights are their workers are paid over 40% above living wage, and they pay more than 80% of their health insurance premiums they pay the majority actually of their health insurance premiums for workers and their families. 80% of employees are really happy. They also offer more than 20 hours of paid time off for community service. They actually pay their suppliers to reduce carbon emissions.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Their bottles, so this is Method. Their bottles, and Method, they're the soap. They're the really pretty soap colors.
Yeah, and
the
there's
really
someone
pretty bottles.
where you think that things like waste, that would be a huge expense for them to try to regulate that.
Yep, absolutely. So most of their bottles are made from 100%, all of their bottles are made from 100% recycled plastic. More than 35% of their shipments use biodiesel trucks. More than 50% of their energy comes from renewable resources. Way to go, Method. And then we have Oaklandish.
Oaklandish.
Yes, Oaklandish is a B Corp. I think they're new because they actually haven't specified, but I wanted to mention them because we saw this logo everywhere when we were in Oakland. They're a t-shirt, branding, and screen printing company, and they are working on becoming B Corp certified.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. It's true. It's true. So we have Method. I'm going to look up Cabot because I'm very intrigued by what they do. It's always interesting to me, companies that actually create a product, because with Etsy, it's a marketplace, it's technology. Right. They're not actually creating a product that could potentially create waste.
Well, yeah, those ones, it's really easy for. That's what I was saying. Why Method Man? It's Method Man. But yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of work there.
Yeah, totally.
You make bottles. That's your thing.
You make bottles. It's crazy.
Waste is inherent to what you do.
Yeah. So Cabot Cheese, their dairy farmer, they hold monthly meetings for their dairy farmers. They elect a farmer owner board of directors. They have an annual meeting of elected farmer owners to engage in like the social, environmental, and governance policies. That's so huge.
Do they give the cows like special massages so your lactose intolerant folks can eat it?
Oh my gosh. Well, what's interesting about Cabot, actually, no, I don't think they do anything for their cows. I don't know. We'll see. But the company is owned by a cooperative of 1,200 farmers.
Wait, why are we gonna see? Are we going to the 1,200 farm Cabot? Is that gonna be the next brunch bite on location? No, it's not.
I wish. No, don't get my hopes up. But so the company is actually owned by 1,200 farmers, 40% of whom are in low-income communities. More than 15% of the workforce is located in low-income communities. So they are really actually supporting the local community around them, which I think is really, really important. 53% of open positions are filled internally. Promotions happen internally. They do not hire outside, which I think is very, very important for a company to be sustainable.
Well, that's another great detail. Man.
Yes.
Just going through the little pieces of it, it gives me a little more sympathy for why corporations never think about any of these things.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of these things, and it's got to be difficult to even know where to start.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like just
you got to hire inside. Yeah. You got to keep your waste together. Man.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be so thoughtful about every single aspect of it, you know? And so they
Can't nobody just get rich without thinking about stuff?
No, I mean, I guess that happens.
Oh, yeah, you still can. Don't worry, we haven't gone to war with getting rich quickly.
Yes,
for no good reason.
Not yet. No. Health and wellness programs and counseling services for all of their workers. And they have an active committee that monitors health and safety issues. So that is awesome. I'm gonna do Ben and Jerry's, actually.
Ben and Jerry's.
Ben and Jerry's.
Ben and Jerry's always been doing it.
I know.
I bought Rainforest Crunch when I was a kid. It was my favorite.
Oh, they're the best.
It saved the rainforest, right? Tell me it did.
I hope so.
It will save some of it, but man, there used to be lots of rainforests.
Yeah, so Ben & Jerry's has been doing this for a while, like you said. So they actually have an independent company board empowered to protect and defend Ben & Jerry's social mission priorities. And I think this is really interesting because even though the board is appointed by Ben & Jerry's, it's independent of Ben & Jerry's. So they have their own checks and balances within the company to make sure they're doing their shit right.
That is straight up and down the only way that was ever going to work.
Yeah. That is amazing. The lowest paid hourly worker makes 46% above the living wage. They offer supplemental benefits for their employees, counseling service, community garden, free ice cream.
Well, of course, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% of U.S. pint containers are made with certified paperboard. They monitor their emissions. They monitor their water usage. They increase the percentage of water recycled on site. They offset over 50% of their emissions with certified carbon offsets. That's a fucking lot.
Well, and to illustrate, I think that's great that you use Ben & Jerry's because they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, and they're huge.
Well, and to illustrate what we mean by this is what works.
Yes.
There are a lot of other ice cream companies that have been around a long time too, but they're not what they used to be. Mm-hmm. It's not even just like, oh, they don't taste like how they used to. They're made with cheaper and crappier stuff by people who don't necessarily live in this country. The environment in the office is crazy and has nothing to do with any family type of anything.
Yeah.
Ben & Jerry's is still Ben & Jerry's. Yeah. They're still able to do what they want as a business. Mm-hmm. I've thought a lot. It's like I know a lot of people have thought about their businesses and what would happen if oh, what are my grandkids going to do with my business? What's going to happen to my business after years and years?
Yeah.
Poor McDonald's, those guys, as much as we pick on them, they started out just as a burger joint
Right.
that people liked and then grew into this thing that is so far from it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and it's such an amazing, beautiful thing that Ben & Jerry's is still Ben & Jerry's the same way they used to be.
Yeah.
They've managed to literally sustain their business. Didn't turn into some other stuff. They don't make bacon now instead of ice cream. They didn't have to shift or anything like that.
Yep. It's so true. It's so true. So the last one that I wanted to talk about is Warby Parker, the eyeglasses company.
Oh, yeah.
Because we are going to go into because Warby Parker's, their whole thing was when you buy a pair of glasses, we give someone else a pair of glasses, right? It's the Tom Shoes model.
Right.
And they have been a B Corp since 2011. Their company highlights are their workers are paid a living wage, all full-time and part-time employees. 100% of full-time employees receive a bonus, more than 80% of healthcare insurance premiums covered, more than 50% job growth rate. They 100% of full-time employees participate in professional development, external professional development. They pay for that for their employees.
And if you want your employees to do that, you better pay for your employees to do that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of industries that could use mandatory professional development, but you don't pay for it, so what you going to do?
Yeah, no one's going to go. And then on the consumer side, they do the one-to-one glasses program, so that's really huge. They've built that into their business model. And the funny thing is, glasses on wholesale are so cheap. It's insane. They're like $3 to $4 for a frame. So Warby Parker just said, instead of charging you $200 like most people are charging, we'll charge you a reasonable amount, and we'll still have enough money to give a pair of glasses to someone who needs them.
Yeah, at that point, it just looks like you're showing off.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, guys, look, I can run a business and also give away stuff.
Yep, it's true. On the community side, 30 to 40% of their management is from previously excluded populations. They didn't specify what that meant, but is that a diversity program? I don't know. And then...
yeah, that's a very specific term.
Yeah. And I think the range, because they've been doing this since 2011, it's 25 to 49% of employees participate in a company-organized service day. So they have actual company-wide service days. And... Always
a good thing. To let folks know, I do believe the first bonfire event that Pam worked wasn't that the Christmas volunteer?
It was.
Before Bonfire was even a radio anything, when it was an event that Keish and Constance used to host at the Bowery Poetry Club.
Yeah.
Just the folks that were homies from there was no real obligation.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the ways, and that's part of why Pam ended up part of the Bonfire family.
Exactly.
So, if you're trying to engender that familial feeling, do it like that.
Yeah, totally.
Go help people, right?
I did want to mention one more company because I just found them, and Dialect loves their cranberry white chocolate cookies.
Is this? Oh, yeah.
Dancing Deer is a B Corp.
That makes sense. I didn't even know they were a corporation, that they were that big to...
Yeah, they're huge. And I wanted to mention them specifically because the bakery hires chronically unemployed individuals, and they dedicate a portion of their profits to local development projects.
Word?
Yeah.
Buying me a cookie today.
I know, right? See, you feel good about buying a cookie. You know?
That should be their slogan.
You feel good.
Tate, feel good about buying a cookie. Have like real sympathetic people in the commercials.
Yeah, totally. So you can be a B Corp in so many different ways. You can meet the requirements in so many different ways. You just have to be good on it. And like you said, it's hard. You have to be good on so many different levels, right?
Well, you have to care on so many different levels. And I say that it's hard, but what I mean is it's hard and a necessary barrier to entry.
Yeah.
The thing about people and jobs and stuff, it's weird, right? We always praise the people who have the jobs that make a lot of money and say that, they're the best and all that. Then why didn't the rest of us just go for those big money jobs that make all the money?
Yeah.
What is the reasoning behind it, right?
Yeah, totally.
And it often seems like it's an amorphous thing, and it's just like, it just sort of shifts out that way. We're all going for the highest thing, and the basket, that's not.
Yeah.
That's not really how it works, and again, not a sustainable thing.
It's not. It's true.
Because it's not how you hire the right people or get the right folks in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So after this song, I want to go into the difference between Tom Shoes and Warby Parker. I know I've been alluding to it this whole show.
Oh, yeah. You've been building it up.
I think it's really important for you to understand as a listener and as a consumer of these products what the difference is between a company who is committed to being a B corporation and a company who has used charitable giving as a marketing tool.
Okay, we're not going to give away too much of the spoilers. I'm going to go to this song. It's by Kay Bain out of Brooklyn, New York. I don't know if you've heard of that town. It hasn't had the Olympics, but it's a pretty nice city. And this is a song called Knock the Hustle. Not that you can't knock the hustle. It's that you can't knock the hustle. It's imperative for you to knock the hustle. Mm-hmm. So we're going to listen to this song and check you in a minute. Bunch of Budget, Bonfire Radio.
I'm taking out this time to give you a piece of my mind. Who do you think you are? Baby, one day you'll be a star. But until then, baby, I'm the one that's crazy.
That's what they say.
'Cause that's the way you're making me feel.
Talk to him, Ray. Talk to him, Ray.
I'm just trying to get mine.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to knock your hustle for real.
Yeah. Consumerism is a disease that makes us feel for what we want. More than we want, what we need. A whole system built on greed. Free market, free trade. But why freedom ain't free? I see miseducation, mass incarceration, and they wonder why we wildin' with the future that we facing. Exploitation, economic slavery. Why would I rely on religion and they ain't saving me? This is not a video game. Don't play with me. My mother worked 2-3 jobs, 7 days a week. Single parent raising the kids. Now that's bravery. Basically, it's pay to play. Apparently, it's pay to eat. Trying to take away all freedom of speech. I'm from the streets, and it ain't no help here. Feel welfare. Who the hell could afford health care? It's all blame Obama. 'Cause to some, you still a nigga with a white mother and a black father. And the country is a company. They hate to see my people living comfortably. Hypocrisy disguised as democracy.
Taking out this time.
They just mad we fulfill the prophecy. Sing a song.
To give you a piece of my mind.
Can't knock the hustle.
Who do you think you are?
Kay Bain, baby.
Baby, one day you'll be a star. But until then, baby, I'm the one that's crazy. 'Cause that's the way you're making me feel.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get mine. I don't have the time to knock your hustle for real.
Christianity killed more people than crack did. Islam slipping too. Muslims sell swine and liquor. The niggas knowing it's not food. It ain't all good. I think it's too much preaching in the hood. And look at what they teaching in the hood. Switch Christ features white Jesus in the hood. And they wonder why they never gon' reach us in the hood. Atheists don't believe, agnostics don't know. Niggas relying on religion to tell you just how it go. Dates all wrong, facts is all mixed up. Like somebody is really trying to trick us. Searching through the scriptures, I start thinking about all the wicked things men do in the name of religion. Oppression, division, subjugation of people, systematic submission. Just another plot to keep the have-not separated. Justified genocide, selling salvation. Rabbis eating, they pimping the congregation. Pastors eating, they pimping the congregation. America ain't a country, it's a company. They hate to see my people living comfortably. Hypocrisy disguised as democracy. They just mad we fulfill the prophecies.
Taking out this time to give you a piece of my mind. Who do you think you are? Baby, one day you'll be a star.
Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. That was Kay Bain with Knock the Hustle. And I wanted to play that song, and I wanted to rap you about it real quick, because it illustrates what we're talking about here. In order, as you know, in the first verse, he starts talking about the country and the money stuff. And in the second verse, he talks entirely about social issues, local and important to him, and how they affect all these economic things. It's insane for folks to really think that, oh, yeah, me and my making money has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
That's like straight up corporations. That's a drug dealer's mentality. That's not a business mentality.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate how K-Bane was able to encapsulate all of that and show what we're talking about here. Because, yeah, it's a lot of work, but work is a lot of work.
Yep.
Why are you going to create something if you don't do it entirely? As you're about to talk about, I always say, you know, shout out to Conscious in the building. I hate a fake conscious cat more than I hate a fake thug. A fake thug won't really shoot you, and a fake conscious cat won't really help you. Now, let's talk about Tom.
Now, let's talk about Tom. So, Tom's shoes exploded in popularity.
By the way, no relation to MySpace Tom.
No.
He's clean of all this.
He's clean of all this. He's not the same Tom. So, Tom's shoes exploded in popularity because of their buy one, give one model, right? You buy a pair of shoes and you give someone in another country a pair of shoes. And it became this trendy thing. We saw a lot of other companies kind of doing a similar thing. Warby Parker's probably the next biggest one, who's buy a pair of glasses, give a pair of glasses to someone who needs to see. And the thing about Tom's one-for-one business model is there have been a couple articles about it. The Social Enterprise Institute at Northeastern University actually says, unlike Tom's shoes and its buy one, give one model, Warby Parker contributes to sustainable development through micro business systems as opposed to undercutting local markets through charity.
Right, yeah. I was never into Tom's.
Of it. Yeah, that's one side of it. And the other side of it is Vox actually did a big expose on the effect of Tom's and the one-for-one business model. And it kind of goes back to Dialect's thing about if you're making a chair and nobody needs a chair, then stop making the chair, right? The kids probably need shoes, but they probably need a lot of other things first.
Well,
like shoes are nice and it makes you feel good that you're like putting shoes on these children, but there's also like diseases that need to be cured and clean water that doesn't exist.
Well, and not to be struggle-Olympic about it, but because it's not the same situation. This is the thing where you can provide a benefit and you've been given the option to choose what benefit you want to give folks, knowing
Right.
what their issues are.
Right.
And you're choosing the one that's most convenient to you, which in that case, I mean, there's a similar stories about when the sports teams send their T-shirts, the excess T-shirts from the championship games out to those countries.
Right.
Where, yeah, other people were going to make clothing for them, and now you've messed up that market.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the other side of it, so the Vox article goes into, I have to just say this quote because I think it's great. The truth is that while that kind of messaging is evidently a great way to sell trendy shoes or otherwise raise money, it's not a very good way to do charity. At best, it is inefficient. It focuses on programs that waste your hard-earned cash by failing to do the most good per dollar. That is what we're saying here. At worst, it promotes a view of the world's poor as helpless, ineffective people passively waiting for trinkets from shoe-buying Americans. While the shoes themselves probably won't lead to any kind of disaster, that worldview can lead to bad policies and real serious harm.
Who said that? Who's that?
Vox. Vox.com.
Does it say who? Does it say the person? Or I just wanted to...
Oh, yeah. Let's shout him out. Hold on.
Come on. This
Amanda Taub.
Amanda Taub. If you see Amanda Taub on the street, give this lady a pound.
Yes.
Or whatever her or
yeah,
their preferred
and I feel
pronoun.
like that's the thing when charity comes from a place of you wanting to feel good versus you actually wanting to help.
Yeah.
And I think that has been the crux of Tom's shoes in a lot of ways is, oh, shoe for shoe, that's easy, and I get a pair of shoes, like I get to do something for myself, and oh yeah, Tom's is taking care of helping this person on the other side.
It's funny because that's the vibe. That's what I think of as a Tom's customer. So think of someone who would be cool with that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Warby Parker, while they do the 1-for-1 model, their main mission is to provide glasses to female micro entrepreneurs through the developing world. So they are specifically targeting a group of women. They're specifically targeting micro entrepreneurs. And they're saying, here's a way for you to lift yourself out of poverty and providing sight.
So they're actually helping because they asked first.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you have this need that we can fill for you.
Dudes, have you, or actually, people any gender, have you ever liked someone romantically and decided to buy them a fancy or nice or thing because you thought that you buying this thing would increase their affection for you and they never wanted the thing, so all you did was seem like a creep and at best a person who doesn't understand them?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you done
That's
it.
exactly what it is.
I know you done it. It's okay.
That's exactly what it is.
Just
so,
don't do it with countries full of people.
Yeah, and I do find it intriguing that Tom's, for its whole do good mission, has not committed to B Corp certification. I do find that a little bit shady.
Well, I mean, shady nothing. Like I said, I never really connected with it, and I always felt like what they were doing was going to make them feel better than actually make great change in the world.
Right. And the way that they did it made other companies look to it, see it as a money grab, and do the same thing. Like, I remember when Skechers said, if you buy a pair of shoes, we'll give 2 pairs.
Now that's sketchy.
But it's one of those things where it's like, so Tom's missed the point, and then Skechers extra missed the point.
I mean, come on now. If some company is going to extra miss the point, it's going to be Skechers. I don't know if that's true.
It's
I don't know if
so
Skechers
true.
is any worse. It just,
Yeah. So what does this mean for you as a consumer? What does this mean for you as part of the labor force? What does this mean for you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, right?
It means get down with the B Corps or get left behind, right?
I mean, there are still a lot of companies who are not B Corps. The movement is growing, and I'm starting to see, I think we're all starting to see, because it's so much easier to produce your own goods and to create a business and to make products. Shout out to Makers Row if you've never looked at them, where you can browse U.S. manufacturers who will help you design and create a product. We're going to have them on the show soon. But it's become easier for you to vote with your dollars now. We have these B Corp certifications.
It's become possible again.
It's become possible again because of technology.
Before it was regulation, and then when regulation wasn't enough, or actually people took away regulation, we still figured it out. I'm telling you, capitalism will figure out a way to evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes where the money is, right? So we quoted a stat earlier about how 8 in 10 people consider whether a company is socially responsible, to deciding whether or not they want to shop. 82% say that they consider it when they recommend a service to others. And then 84% want to see their business doing work in the community. And 79% of people consider that in terms of where they want to work. That's like pretty much everyone. People who they polled are looking for this now. I don't know what the sample size was, but these numbers are pretty staggering.
That's pretty beautiful.
Yeah. It is beautiful. And what's wonderful about the self-regulation thing and the idea of people choosing to do this on their own is when you're a B Corp, when you're a benefit corporation, and we inevitably have another financial crisis, your first job isn't how can I make the quickest dollar. Your first job is to keep doing what you're doing.
That's right. And that's how we don't end up ruined.
Yes. And that is the beautiful thing about B Corps and benefit corporations and this direction that we're going in, where we're moving towards a more pure form of capitalism.
Yo, whenever you're watching the news and you're seeing the terrible political folks, and you're hearing about the crazy business thing, and this guy got shot, and this bombing, and racism, this, sexism, that, and all this stuff, and you're thinking that our world is getting worse, remember that the opposite is true.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing all of the stank, because that's what happens when you switch to a healthier diet. You got to cough up the bile first for the first few weeks.
It's true.
And then you start
your bowel
feeling
movements
good.
will get regular.
Exactly. So right now. This is the colonic is going
is the
through all of this. Look at these businesses. Look at the fact that Michael Jordan recently gave a bunch of money to some black companies and made some statements about what's going on. The same guy who in the 80s said Republicans buy sneakers too when they asked about people being murdered over his shoes.
Yep.
So think about where we are today, how connected we are, and how much we're looking out for each other. So we can all be corps.
Oh, thank
We're
you,
going to finish
Dialect.
off with Benefit with his song Word of Mouth, because that's still how these things go. And check you next week. Bunch of Budget, Bonfire Radio. Peace.
The truth spreads by word of mouth. Let them know. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a foe. The truth spreads by word of mouth. Let them know. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a foe. The truth spreads by word of mouth. Let them know. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a foe. The truth spreads by word of mouth. Yo. I make the dirty beat on tape with the warble and the flutter and spit it for the poor kids starving in the gutter who never had love from his father nor his mother, so he's probably gonna grow up robbing from his brother. Never taught to respect the truth. Now he's home by himself, just a neglected youth. And he's turning on the radio to bump it alone and listen to the music these companies pumping his home. Now he's sunk in his zone, absorbing every single word that's sunk in his dome. His dad's drunk and he's gone, so how is he supposed to know what's right from wrong? And know that these guys lie when they're writing their song. And know that the rich use it, dividing the strong. He won't know it, he just bobbing his head, riding along. Just then, he hears a knock on his door. His friends come in to pick him up to stop at the store. Now this bigger fellow's going to pick up some cigarellos, pressing the gas with his Velcro shell toes. In the car, he notices a track playing and he starts paying attention to what the rap's saying. Hey yo man, this is ill, who is this? It's Benefit, who's Benefit? Benefit's the dopest in the history of music on earth, kicking rappers out the game for abusing the turf. And you should listen again if it's confusing at first. You're not used to the fusing of flow with the views and the spurs. So many dead MCs after he's using his verse. He should get his side hustle and just cruising a hearse. Music's a drug, he's got him abusing it worse than the fiend at the shop, pawning her shoes in her purse. His style's explosive like a missile drop bomb. Want the truth, go to benefitofficial.com. The truth spreads by word of mouth. 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 Benefits back, tell them all, let them know. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a foe. Benefits back, you can tell by the flow. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend.